Welcome to the SoCal podcast with Arthur and Yuki. We're putting a critical eye on TV, anime, and everything SoCal. Let's dig in.
We got the hat,
Let's go.
and we got the card.
Amazing.
We were at the Dodgers game yesterday for a special event. They were giving out these Luffy One Piece hats, and then also the Luffy special exclusive card. And we lined up starting at 2:20 p.m. The game started at 7.
Yes. They only let us in at like 5:10, 2 hours before the game started. So we were like pretty much in line for like 3 hours just to get mainly this thing and the hat. I mean, the hat is pretty cool too, honestly, because there's this like the Dodgers logo, LA, and also the One Piece logo on the back.
I never thought I'd be waiting in the sun for 3 hours as a 34-year-old man, but here we are.
I mean, some people flew in from Dallas for this.
Yeah, the guys behind us were from Dallas, and I was asking you, it's like, do you think we'll be doing this when we're 40?
I mean, our friend flipped a coin to see if we would be, and I think it said yes.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like 40.
it's not too far away.
It's not that
actually.
far off.
A blink of an eye, and we'll be 40, and we'll be back there doing something like this again.
I mean, the last thing we filmed was like 7 years ago. We probably didn't think we'd be like 30 so quickly either.
Yeah, it's not even 30. It's like I'm 30. We're 34 now, and we lined up. We got this card. We don't even play the game, but we got this card anyways, and
I mean, we like One Piece.
Yeah, we love One Piece.
Love One Piece. But yeah, I went with my wife, and so we got 2 sets of cards and 2 hats, and I sold both of them together for $410.
That's so insane.
Like immediately the day after, because I just listed this morning. I got the offers like today. I have to ship it out tomorrow. It's so crazy.
$410.
Yes,
For something you got for
card
free.
and this hat.
We all got well, not all of us, but like a lot of people at the game got it. Not everybody. I'm guessing they probably gave out like 30,000 cards based on like our group of friends that were there.
Yeah.
There was like people who came right when the game started and they only got a hat. But there was another guy who came a little bit later and he was able to get both because he went to like a different entrance when they told him that they didn't have like the hat and the card anymore. He just went to like a different entrance. And I think the theory here is that they had a certain number of cards and a certain number of hats at every single entrance. So there's certain entrances that just have a lot of people, like 80% of the people going through that entrance. So they're just going to run out. But if you go through some of the lesser utilized entrances, then there's probably going to be a card left even after the game started. So you just don't know what, you just don't know if you're going to get it or not. But we waited,
I mean, we wanted to make sure that we got it. Like we had some friends that are like really collectors of these kind of things.
You were ready to line up at 10 a.m.
I mean, I was
like, I
thinking
can't do that.
I know. I was like, I'm glad that we waited, but it was so hot, and especially parts of the line, there's like no trees, no shade.
Yeah.
And it was, oh man, it was brutal.
That was brutal. I don't know the last time I did something like this, but I guess for One Piece we'll do it.
For Luffy, Dodgers Luffy pitching. I mean, it's a nice looking card, honestly. And I heard that, I mean, for the people that were behind us in line, they actually played the game. They're like, oh, it's like it's a green purple card, which is in the meta these days. So
Whatever that means. I don't even know what the green color means.
yeah, never played it.
But I even heard that some people like threw out their cards because they didn't know what it was into the trash. And people were going through the trash like trying to find the cards that people threw out.
That's crazy. I know like one of the guys, one of my friend's friend brought like cash and went around asking people like, hey, like, will you sell me your card for like $100 cash?
That's crazy.
And it's so funny because I heard these like some older people that were clearly like more baseball fans.
Yeah.
And they were there like, I've never seen it so busy before. Like, oh, why is everybody wearing these straw hats? Like, but it was kind of cool to see like in the crowd. It's like just like a bunch of random people all wearing straw hats. A lot of people came in like One Piece gear,
Yeah.
which was cool. Like I saw there was like a jersey where the front had like Luffy scars on them. So when they closed it up, it looked like they had the scars on their chest kind of thing, which is cool.
Like people were cosplaying. Like I saw a guy that pretty much looked like Zoro. He had the 3 earrings and
The green hair.
oh my God, the green hair.
It was a
People were-
commitment.
yeah, people were committed to this, and so many people from Japan came to just go to this game.
Yeah, that's right. In front of where we were sitting, there was a big group of like, I don't know what it is, but like people from like Rakuten, like the Japanese Amazon, and they, on their back of their jerseys also have like soy trip or something.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that is, but if anybody can let us know, that'd be cool.
First time I heard about Soy Trip. I know about Rakuten,
Yeah,
but Soy Trip is something new.
I don't know what soy trip.
They're tripping on soy.
Tripping on soy. But they were very like nice and polite, like as you expect from like a Japanese
Orderly. Every single person was wearing the exact same thing, pretty much.
They're all holding these like little heart flags.
Yeah, it's like a piece of paper that like, looks like a heart, and they all had one, and they were waving it around.
Or instead of like cheering like rambunctiously, they're just like
Oh, they just go like this.
like waving these little flags.
This.
It's kind of cute.
Yeah, so Japanese, just a bit quiet and not scream.
But it's kind of cool. Like I don't like I'm not a big baseball guy, but I know a little bit. Like Dodgers, they're playing against the White Sox, which incidentally I think is the Pope's team.
The American Pope.
The American Pope. Like it's so crazy that there's a new Pope and he's American and he has a favorite like baseball team, the White Sox, which I think is just like one of like I mean, you know, I'm not trying to shit on anybody's team, but I think they're just one of the worst teams in general.
Well, the Dodgers shit on them yesterday, so.
When we left, it was like 6-0, I think at the top of the 8th. And then I think I just checked like when we got home and was like, oh, it was 6-2. So they got 2. So good for them.
Good for them. Good for them. But hey, it's Dodgers. Yeah, they have to win.
But also like the cheering when Otani's at bat is like so crazy. Like the first like maybe 3 batters, Otani, like the crowd goes nuts. And like Mookie Betts. It's kind of funny because when they cheer for him, they're like, Mookie. And it kind of sounds like they're booing at first.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that like Simpsons meme, you know, like boo. Are they booing me? No, they're just saying boo Burns.
Yeah, but they're saying moo.
Yeah, and they're actually saying Mookie.
I didn't know who that was, and initially someone was like, "Go Mookie, go Mookie," and I was like, "Yuki?" Yeah, what? Like, what? Is someone calling?
They're cheering for you.
I know,
Telling
no.
you to go.
I wish.
So like, Otani, Mookie Betts, and Freddie Freeman. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Freddie, they're chanting like crazy.
Freeman was good.
Yeah. So I mean, those guys are great.
He had a bunch of good hits.
But like, I don't know, like something about the watching experience, like compared to like when we would go to like, I don't know, like USC football games back in the day, or like just going to football games in general, where they also have the big screen that they show like all the action. This
Yeah.
one, they don't really show it, like when it's happening live.
Okay.
Because like, I mean, I don't know if you noticed, but like, you know, we're sitting, it's not bad seats, right? Like we were sitting in foul ball area in the left field. And then you just have to kind of watch the pitcher and the batter, and the ball's like pretty small, right?
Yeah.
And so you kind of have to like strain to see it. And then on the screen, they just have like all these like stats of like what's happening. And then maybe like after there's a play, then they like kind of put the replay on there. But as things are happening, they're not really showing you compared to like a football game where they're like showing you like the play by play happening. So I was like, I think maybe that could be a little bit better, I guess.
They did have like a lot of like One Piece animations here and there.
They did.
That was kind of cool. I don't know if it was like halftime or something. Baseball's a little bit different, but at one point in the game when people were taking a break, they had this whole like animation sequence, and then they were showing people like dressed up in different gear. Like one person's like Chopper, another person's like dressed up as Frankie, and like all this different stuff. And it's like cool seeing like that. That was like my favorite part of the game, apart from like watching Otani.
Yeah, I guess at the changeovers they had some animation, which was pretty cool actually. And then they showed like the animated, like of the card of like Luffy pitching with his arm like all like a screwy. And then there were a lot of people that did the Frankie celebration.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
like, a lot of people did that one, which is cute.
And then one guy tried to do like the gear thing.
Yeah.
But he just looked like he was like depressed and putting his hand out because the camera's just like looking at his face.
That's what he was doing.
Yeah, and I was
Dude, I
like,
didn't.
it doesn't make sense like in the big screen and the camera's kind of pointed at a certain angle when you're just kind of like this.
Looking down.
And you just
Yeah.
look like you're kind of like sad and just like, but I'm pretty sure that was the gear. I forgot what number, but they're doing that thing.
But you know, it's kind of cool. Like, I feel like anime recently has gotten really like.
It's so
mainstream.
big. And this was during the time that Anime Expo is like happening right now.
Yes.
And on top of that, like they had this game with like One Piece and all this stuff. So there's a lot of hype around it. I mean, the people that were lined up behind us, they came all the way from Dallas to like attend the anime convention and then go to the Dodger game with like all this Luffy stuff and One Piece stuff. Like they're having a blast.
I mean, they timed it really well. I think the Dodgers did a great job, honestly. Like,
True.
I know the line was long and it was hot as hell, but that's just because all the fans really wanted to get one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like this looks really nice. Like this card, I mean, it's kind of hard to see. Not sure if I can see it. But this hat also is, I think, a pretty high quality. Like it feels like actual straw.
I mean, you made $410 from this. That's
$400.
$410.
That'll cover the tickets and the food that we ate.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I'm just gonna keep one. Well, I only got one, and I'm just gonna keep that one. And I don't really want to sell it because it's just a memento for me.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad. Like, I mean, that's why. Like, I'm lucky that Sandy came with us.
I know.
I could get two, and then like one I can keep for myself, and then one I can like
Yeah.
one that I sold now. But it's just like yeah. But I was just thinking about like when you were saying the guy that tried to do like the Gear 3 or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, it's 3. Okay.
I think I don't know. Someone will correct us.
Yeah.
But it just reminded me like in the Olympics, most recently, a lot of people were doing anime celebrations.
Oh, like the track people?
Like the track people, or like when they walk in, or even like the weightlifters. Like a bunch of them. Some of them did the Frankie. Some of them did the fist on the ground. Like a lot of stuff. And I was like, that's kind of cool.
It's kind of nuts. Like I saw a guy doing the Jujutsu Kaisen. I think the Satoru Gojo one. For one of the track guys was doing it. It's really crazy how mainstream anime has become.
I think Dragon Ball Z has always been also pretty popular with athletes.
Yeah, that's true.
Like the whole like, you know, training to surpass your limits.
Over 9,000.
So I like even like a lot of like football players.
Okay.
It seems like they're into it. Like even in some of these like shows, like behind the scenes football stuff. They'll talk about like that as a motivation.
There's one guy that loves it.
There's one guy.
I
Yeah,
forgot his name.
I'm blanking on it too.
Yeah, he loves it and super into it. But have you gone to anime convention before?
I have not. I really want to go.
I've lived here my whole life and I never went.
You need to go.
It's such a shame because it's like I actually enjoy anime and I haven't gone.
But would you go to like the Anime Expo, or would you go to like Comic Con?
I have to go to anime.
Anime?
Yeah.
Not a comic guy.
I mean, I like comics, but I'm way more into anime, like One Piece, Bleach, Naruto, all that.
That's true.
Yeah. It's because I started reading One Piece when it came out,
Yeah.
and I was like a little boy, you know?
You guys introduced me to One Piece in college. Actually, I didn't
Oh,
know.
really?
So it's kind of funny because like, so I grew up in Asia, right?
Uh-huh.
But I was not into like anime until I came to the U.S.
Whoa.
And like you guys in college were like, you have to like check out like One Piece and Naruto, whatever. And I
Yeah.
started reading it and watching it, and like I just remember after that having like a few like all-nighters, just like reading through all the
You're gonna catch up.
fucking chapters. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they were really good.
It's good. I mean, it's a whole part of my childhood, and it's still going on right now. And I'm fucking 34, and One Piece like hasn't stopped. Like, I mean, Naruto and Bleach like kind of continued in its own way, but like One Piece is continuous. Like, it's been the same story that's been happening since I was a little boy, and now I'm 34 years old, and the story's a lot deeper than you think. Like, you could appreciate it as a 30-something year old, and you could still appreciate it as a kid. And I think that's part of the reason why this event was so fucking big.
But the funny thing is like I think I mean, it's a really good story, but like I think that the time in the story universe has only been like a few years, right? Like the from the start to like where it is now, it's only been like I don't know,
Right.
a couple of years, as opposed to like
Like Luffy started as like a 17-year-old, now he's 19 or something.
yeah. It's only been 2 years,
Yeah.
but it's been like I don't know, like 30 years or like 20 something years for us. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, a lot of anime are like that, where it's like Crayon Shinchan. You know that one?
I don't
It's
know.
like a little boy,
Okay.
and he's in preschool.
Yeah.
Like 10 years later, he's still in preschool.
Okay.
There's a lot of stuff like that where
Yeah.
they don't really grow up.
Sure.
Like Detective Conan.
Oh,
is
yeah.
another one. Like it's like he ends up becoming a kid, but like he remains a kid for like the past 20 years. So
She's super efficient, just super productive kid, solving so many murders.
yeah, like if 20 murders a day, pretty much to make sense. But yeah, that's anime for you.
I feel like I'm yeah, like I want to go, and I think if I were to go, I would go all out. I would like dress up and like, cause I don't know if I'll live in LA forever.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the one time I go, I gotta do like the whole thing.
I think the trick is like similar to what you did. Just bring your wife, and she's just there to like get stuff. Like because some stuff is like, you know, you have to have one ticket and one person
Yeah.
to get certain items. She's just there to collect that for you, and then you know, you sell off one.
But I feel like in a lot of these like anime expos, you're like the stuff that you want, you have to buy. I think right from all the
Okay. Clearly, I don't know what I'm talking about.
because they were saying like, oh, the people behind us in line, the ones that were going to Anime Expo, they're
Yeah.
saying like, oh, the first day, they usually don't do a lot of panels because people are all focused on the exhibition hall that are just trying to buy up like the limited edition like stuff that they can get, or like the signed posters or drawings from the artists. And so then they're like, okay, yeah, if we do any panels, nobody's gonna pay attention.
No, everybody's just focused on getting shit.
Yeah.
It's materialism and consumerism first before listening to the panels. And I think the panels are pretty cool because you get to hear the perspectives of like the people who make it, and you don't really see that in just like the regular work.
Oh, speaking of which, the person that threw out the first pitch was
Oh, yes.
Nami.
Emily Rudd.
Emily Red, Nami from the Netflix live action.
I heard it was her birthday
Oh, was
that day too.
Oh my god.
It's all scripted.
Big day.
That was kind of cool because I actually, my wife watched the Netflix like live adaptation with me as well, and she actually enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But she like refuses to read the manga or the anime, so it's gonna be like 40 years until she kind of catches up to the rest of the story when there's enough like live adaptations.
But the live adaptation kind of moved pretty quickly in terms of like the story, right? They covered like I don't know 100
Yeah, a lot.
chapters or so. In, like
The Arlong and stuff.
yeah.
They did a good job with that because, yeah, a lot of people who refuse to watch anime or manga, for some reason, aren't going to sit through like 100 episodes of the anime. But I think that One Piece live adaptation was probably one of the best adaptations ever for a manga and anime.
Do you feel like you still know a lot of people that like refuse to watch anime or read manga?
Yeah, all my wife's friends. Yeah, I know there's girls that enjoy anime, but for some reason there's certain people who just like, it's like, oh, like this kind of platform or this kind of art form, I'm not gonna accept it. I'm never gonna watch it.
Yeah, I will say maybe like growing up, I didn't watch that much because my parents were like, "Oh, like you're too old for cartoons." But I think what maybe changed their mind was like Miyazaki, because I think they would watch like Spirited Away and
That's true.
all that stuff.
My wife would watch that. Yeah.
And because I think like that's like the gateway anime
Right.
because that stuff is like really deep.
Yeah.
And I think there's some things that you can show in anime that translates better than real like live action. And so like, I mean, my wife, she's born and raised in Germany, right? Her exposure to anime is very limited.
Yeah.
But when we first met, I was like, okay, I want her to like anime too. And so I like phased her in first with like Spirited Away and some Miyazaki movies.
Yeah.
And then eventually now she's she's like, oh, we gotta watch like My Dress Up Darling. We gotta watch
Oh, you guys watched that one?
Apothecary Diaries.
Okay,
She's
yeah.
like all up into it now, and now her brother loves it too. So like, it's a fully converted like.
Wow. You're you're spreading the gospel.
And yeah, like her brother's like super into it. He has like a bunch of like figurines and stuff at home. Like
You guys watched Frieren too.
we watched it. Frieren is excellent.
Yeah. I tried to get Dawn into Frieren and she stopped after 2 episodes, but
That's like just before it gets good.
I know it's so good. But do you know what she actually sat there and watched? Is Bochi the Rock. That was pretty good.
I don't think I know that.
It's the synopsis is kind of pretty basic and it's a simple story, but the execution is done extremely well and it's very comical and it's kind of like a feel good show that you could just kind of put on and you don't have to like kind of think too deeply about it and it's just a good like cutesy little show. And so it's a show about like girls making a band together, a rock band.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, and it doesn't sound like super exciting, but it's a good show. I promise you, it's good.
I think like in recommending anime to Sandy,
Mm-hmm.
I've just like realized how like shonen-y my tastes are.
Yeah, you like
I'm like
hardcore shows.
I'm like, oh, it's all like these like fight and like overcome and stuff. And then like she likes all the like non
Yeah,
shonen
I imagine
stuff.
like you kind of like My Hero Academia,
Yeah.
like that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
and that's hard for like girls to get into.
Yeah. But Frieren has been like really good.
Yeah, it's pretty universal.
I think in the beginning, my wife felt it was kind of slow
Mm-hmm.
because she was like, oh, like they're just walking around. This is after the adventure. Like, who cares? But then once we got a little bit into it,
Yeah,
the action scenes were pretty great.
it's so good.
Like I don't know, whichever studio it is, they're doing a great job. And then there's something about the story that Frieren is like learning, or like the lessons that she's learning
Mm-hmm.
after the death of Himmel, that really hits deep.
And you kind of appreciate it like older in life too.
Yeah.
Like if you're a kid, you just don't really get it. But once you're a little bit older, like it hits you differently because you just kind of start thinking about like all of these lost connections or different concepts that come out of Frieren that are actually very adult and very like life-changing stuff actually.
100%. I think it's interesting because like Frieren is like an immortal elf, right? She can live forever, and that's why for her all the like time that she wastes doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
But I think like there's also a lot of people that maybe live like that as well, that are not necessarily taking advantage of every moment.
Wow.
And I feel like this, like in watching Frieren,
Yeah.
I think I don't know if this is the case or not. Maybe the author is saying like, hey, like, you know, every moment is precious,
Wow.
even though, you know, like even though it may feel like you have a long time left to live, you know, when you're young or whatever,
Yeah.
time is limited. And at the end of the day, you know, every moment you spend with your friends, with family, whoever is precious. And like for Frieren, it came a little too late. Like she only realized it after Himmel passed away. And that's why now she wants to go back to have that conversation that she put off. At least that's how I'm
No, that's huge. That actually like struck a chord with me because that really encapsulates what Frieren's about. Because the funny thing about like a lot of things you experience is you don't know what you're missing until like you've lost it, right? Like until it's gone, then you kind of begin to see like, oh shoot, like that was actually a big part of my life. That was actually meaningful. But like at the time, it's really hard to notice that, and you take a lot of things for granted. But only after like it's gone, then you begin to realize it. And the point that you made about like I think a lot of people live life as if like there's no tomorrow, and I kind of felt that when like you know there was a time in my 20s where I was just like playing video games like nonstop, you know, and like when you're playing WoW or when you're playing like League, like it's so much fun, but sometimes like time slips away so quickly, and then you realize I could like have gone to Japan more often. It's like
you're in Japan, man.
I'm obsessed.
But then like I feel like back then, you know, we didn't have like necessarily like the money to travel as much. And then now we just don't have the time to travel as much. So it's always like one thing or the other.
we're in like this kind of little sandwich or like little period of time where like we just got married, and then soon hopefully we'll have kids.
Yeah.
And then suddenly like we're feeling that time crunch where it's like, oh, like, you know, once we have kids, we're not going to be able to travel more. So like right now, like, oh my God, like we have to go do stuff. Like we have to go check out like all these food places and
Line
like
up for 4 hours for a daughter.
yeah, exactly. That you know, just try to go out and do like different types of things. And I'm way more open to that kind of stuff now than before. I think back in my 20s when I was like obsessed with video games, and I still play a lot of video games, but like when I was like truly obsessed, I may have like kind of like let different experiences go in order to prioritize like just being in front of my computer and like enjoying myself, you know,
Yeah.
to each their own. But
I mean, you know, I think sometimes, you know, not to just like shit on playing video games all the time, but like we were playing with, you know, it wasn't always like randomly playing video games. It was sometimes like playing with like friends, right?
right,
Like we played a lot together, or like when we were in a fraternity, we were playing like Smash a lot with like each other in a room, right? And yelling at each other.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
that was
love-
like, you know, fun memories too.
That's true. That's true. It's not all bad, but Frieren does make you think about like all your different like life choices and things you could have done better and stuff like that. And that is the sign of a good anime where it really makes you reflect and think about like life in general. And that's, I mean, One Piece also does that as well, like through its world building and like all of its characters. Like you see like familiar personalities, and that's why it's like become such a big phenomenon that like we were willing to just get this like exclusive card.
It's really, this Frieren talk, this anime talk is really hitting me in the field.
Yeah,
it's
it's kind of
deep.
crazy. It is, and I think you begin to appreciate it more as you age as well, which is the nice part about a good story. Because when I first started watching One Piece, like my brain wasn't really fully developed, and I'm just enjoying like, ooh, piracy, you know. But when you grow older, you kind of appreciate it in a completely different way, where like a lot of One Piece is a metaphor for like our real world, and like the politics and the kind of the injustices of society and stuff like that is like shown so well in One Piece that like not a lot of anime talk about like racism and classism and touch on like different like political ideas like that, but One Piece kind of does it in a way that's very palatable and that's like easy to understand, and that's why for so many people like, it means so much.
Yeah, well said. I mean, I think like for anyone that, and we're, you know, clearly we care a lot about anime just from this conversation, but I think for anyone that maybe, you know, maybe you love anime, or you have a friend that loves anime, but their partner or someone they know doesn't, and they want to share it. I think it's just like, ignore the medium, right? I feel like the medium could be anything. It could be like live action, it could be animated, it could be like a written text in a book, right? You're all just using your imagination, but it's just an author trying to convey these ideas to like a mass audience,
Right, their point of view, their
Yeah.
perspective, their ideas, yeah.
and so it's really interesting. And actually, like, I've been thinking about it, but I've been reading a lot of Korean stuff lately, on the manhwas,
Oh yes, yes.
and they're like the culture of like Korean writers and Japanese writers, and even some like Chinese writers are so different.
It's quite fascinating, and like I discovered like manhwas like later in life. I didn't even, because I was so like Japan focused when it came to like manga and like kind of comics, but like the Koreans like have something going. Like it's actually, there's a lot of amazing stuff
Yeah.
that they're making. Like Lookism was huge when I first read it. Like it was unbelievable. It was like mind opening. It was a completely different perspective than what Japanese like mangas do, and like, the ideas that they bring to the table. And it's kind of cool to see like the stark cultural differences between like Japan and Korea, and it's reflected in like these manhwas and stuff. Like for example, like Lookism, like it really touches on the fact that like the outwardly appearance and whether you're attractive or not, it plays such a huge role in the Korean society, and it shows you kind of the differences in like the way you get treated, whether you look good or whether you look ugly. And that was kind of eye-opening for me, and it's like a really, really cool story. And that author has a bunch of other works that he's done that's also like super awesome as well. But Yeah, I mean, Solo Leveling,
Yeah.
and from like Korea, and like a lot of amazing stuff comes out of that.
Also, I mean, I think the quality of art and drawing is really high. I think the storytelling is really good.
Yeah.
I will say there are some themes that are pretty repetitive in Korean ones. And usually it's always like, oh, like they look down on Korea, like as a country.
Like a political aspect,
There's
yeah.
a political aspect or like a geopolitical, like, oh, you know, usually the main character or even just like the country of Korea, if it's like placed in that kind of setting, is like looked down on by other nations, like, oh, by Japan. Like, total the neighboring country of Japan was trying to like, you know, weaken the Korean hunters.
In a sneaky way,
Exactly.
yeah.
And or like or China or even the US sometimes. So it's kind of like it gives us a sense not only of like the attitudes that people there have, but also kind of like the sentiment towards the wider world. And it's kind of interesting to see that because you get the perspective from the author, but then they're getting their perspective maybe from like the culture where they're raised. So you get a lot of I feel like insight into like, you know, Korean culture or Japanese culture or Chinese culture.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm trying to get into more Chinese stuff. They have like some new animes that are coming out.
Yeah.
And I think one thing about like the Chinese animation quality is that it's like the animation quality is there. Like whatever they're doing, it's the it's like the flashiest, like highest frame rate, like kind of stuff. So China's not too far behind either. And they had that like I'm that one movie that was like blockbuster this year. Ninja 2.
Oh yeah. About
I didn't watch it, but like, you know, they're capable of like pumping out animation movies that are like globally renowned, and they're only a few steps behind in terms of like regular animation shows and stuff like that. And so
I will say I think like growing up in Hong Kong, I had like a bus driver once when I was young. Like he saw that I like to read on the bus a lot.
okay.
And so he gave me like this comic, like a Chinese comic from a long time ago. I was like maybe like 8 years old. And like the quality of the art is really high. I think they don't draw maybe like I don't know, the motion or the action sequences as well, but like each like drawing of like a character is like really good. And it looks
Do you remember what it was?
But the style is like I don't remember what it was, but the style is more like it's a little bit more realistic than like Japanese or Korean manhwas. But I just remember like it was really good. And like growing up, I read a lot of like, you know, books with like a lot of text. When I got a comic, I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. Like,
yeah, that's the best. Cause I remember in like my Saturday Japanese school, there was like little comic books that you could read about like history, for example. So like World War II or like some famous person, like it's all depicted in like a comic book form, and it made it so much more interesting to read. And you actually enjoy like reading it. I loved going through those books. Like obviously you don't get the full picture. It's kind of simplified stories of history, but like that little things like helped as like a kid, and I loved having that.
I was gonna say World War II as
You know, maybe that was a bad example. I'm pretty sure. Actually, I take that back. I take that back. I don't think World War II was like a big, a big conversation in Japanese. So I think a lot of Japanese schools kind of like brush that aside. And if they do, you know, talk about it, it's kind of very super like surface level. Like they don't really go into all the atrocities and all the crazy stuff that happened.
Yeah, but not good for like Saturday school. Like,
No,
hey,
no.
mommy, what's up?
There's so much, and honestly, I think, you know, Japanese schools can do better in terms of like talking about more about World War II and like what, you know, happened. But going back to manhwas, a great thing about like the Korean manhwas is that it's very mobile friendly.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Where like Japanese manga is actually very traditional. Like it's based on like how you read, like
the magazine format.
Yeah, so like it works great on like the iPad if you're, you know, looking at it horizontally. But like if you're on your phone, like manhwas like have the lockdown in terms of like that reading experience, and that's not something that I mean, you could still do that with like Japanese manga, but it's not as easy as the Korean ones where you just kind of flip up.
Dude, the vertical scroll thing?
Yeah.
Genius.
It's very modern. It's really suited for how people consume media like on the phone nowadays. And because not everybody has like an iPad that they're carrying around, and like when you're on the bus or when you're on, the train or something, like it's so much easier to just scroll like through your phone.
Yeah.
And what is really fun is like doing looking at horror stuff on Korean like
Horror stuff.
Yeah, because when you scroll, like it's like really scary, like the way that it like comes up.
Oh, yeah,
And,
interesting.
yeah, because it's suited for that medium. I mean, manga does it well too, where like you click next page and it's like boom, like in my face, and it's like really scary. Like Korean ones are like super creepy because it's just like you just scroll up and then like the face like kind of comes up like this, and it's like oh shoot,
Like the slow reveal kind of.
yeah. But
That's really innovative, actually. That's a good point. I totally didn't like pay attention to that, but you're right. Like,
yeah, no, I noticed how like easy and like nice the experience was with like the manhwas, because I think a lot of them start off as like a webtoon, because they I think with the Korean side maybe the publishers aren't as developed, so a lot of like beginning artists are putting stuff up on like the websites in kind of a mobile form before they get picked up and serialized or something like that. But with Japan, it's very established. So a lot of like, manga, they just kind of stay traditional and they work with a publisher and they go on a big magazine like Shonen Jump or something like that.
Right.
So they kind of have this proven format that they stick to. But like Korea is kind of exploring this new mobile, which is very different from the Japanese side. Like obviously with manga, you could still appreciate it from mobile, but the Koreans like really know what to do with the phone and like, kind of that whole experience when it comes to manhwas, which is really innovative and fun, that I kind of realized like later on in life. I was like, oh, like I've been missing out on this. I mean, you could still enjoy it as like a new person that's like enjoying the medium, but yeah, it's great.
The scrolling is so dangerous because suddenly you're like, oh my God, I finished a chapter. I want to go to the next one. And then you're like 10 chapters deep. And then you're like, where did like the time go?
And with Webtoon, like the app, you have to like watch ads and stuff like that to get like coins to be able to read more if you want to do it for free.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like you have to pay. So if you're paying, then like those coins like disappear so fast.
Dude, I think they're websites.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're websites.
Oh yeah. yeah. But I'm so lazy that I sit through the ads.
I mean, it's good
And
for you
watch
for
it.
like, I'm sure like it's supporting the artists. Like I do, but like, I do want to like for the ones that I really like buy a full set.
Mhm.
Because like it's also they make the really nice like box sets where like, all the spines like line out together to make an image and all these things. So
What's the set that you want to get right now?
I'm not sure. I have to look into it.
For
But like Frieren, I would consider it. Like that one's so good.
Yeah, Frieren is one that I would consider. I want Down to Down.
Down to down.
Yes, I want the full set. I think the manga is phenomenal. There's certain like panels and like 2-page panels that are phenomenal in the manga. And I've seen it through like the Shonen Jump app, but like to have it in physical form, that would be amazing. I love that.
I need to start reading it. I just watched the first season on Netflix, and like even from you saying that, like the opening song is in my head. Like, that song is so hype. Like
Unbelievable.
I never sit through like opening credits because now they have the skip button, right? It makes it really easy. But I will always watch that one.
That is amazing.
What a name.
intro.
You know.
Yeah, and the intro is so good. I don't know how they're gonna top that for season 2. I'm so excited just to see the intro. I mean, they came out in movies.
It's out now, is it?
Oh, maybe it is out already. Oh my gosh.
We're gonna watch it.
Yeah, we gotta watch it. It's unbelievable. Another set that I want to get is Kagurabachi, which I've been telling you about.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the new like kind of it's a really popular like sword-based shonen type manga that's out right now, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna get an animation. And I've been loving it so far. I want to get that and Dandadan, and then also the third one being Chainsaw Man.
Chainsaw Man.
Yes, the manga is so
I'm reading the manga. I just don't understand it. It's tripping me out.
yeah. Recently, I don't really get what's happening.
Yeah.
But there were certain scenes like throughout the whole series that like was unbelievable. Like when they visit hell, like that was like a completely different depiction of
Spoilers.
you know what it could look like. I mean, I'm not saying like what happens there,
Yeah.
but those images is like unforgettable, and I would love to have like that set as well. I've given up on One Piece because there's just too many.
This will fill like this is empty right now. We
Yeah.
got One Piece, it'd just be like full.
Oh my God. You know, I used to have it as a kid.
Oh,
I used to have a collection. I think I had like maybe
In like
40.
Japanese or English?
Yeah, it was in Japanese.
Nice.
And then my mom like one day just decided to like
Oh,
eliminate all of it. I had like maybe like I want to say like almost like 50 Detective Conans like all lined up.
that's brutal.
Yeah, and like I had One Piece. I had all these like Shonen Jumps from like years ago that my mom would buy me, and I wish I still had it because that was iconic stuff from back in the day. Like this was when Naruto, One Piece, and Bleach were going on at the same time.
Yeah.
Like that era of my childhood is like one of the best because Shonen Jump was like, you know, potentially peaking at the time with the big three. That's all gone in the wind, along with my Pokemon cards, which is actually my fault. Like I didn't keep it. I just gave it away to somebody, even though I had every single shiny for every single one too.
That's crazy. You just gave it to someone?
Yeah, like this kid was like visiting my house. Was like, much younger than me at the time, and then he was like going through my clothes, like, oh my God, like, this is so amazing. And by that time, I've already like moved past like Yu-Gi-Oh and like other stuff, and I was like too old. I was like I want to say like I was in high school at the time, and I just kind of wasn't into Pokemon like for that brief moment. Even though I got back into Pokemon like after college, I just kind of gave it away, and I never thought about it. And
Nicholas Yuki.
I know that kid probably made like
It's like
$50,000.
it's like the people that are like giving out or like back in the day giving out Bitcoins for like pizza.
Yeah, it's
Like
so
you,
valuable.
you didn't even get a pizza.
In retrospect, I should have given him like one of the shinies I had a duplicate of, which I had many.
You
I
gave
could
the
just gave
whole
him like,
binder?
I just gave him the whole binder.
Oh my
Out of like pure like
I mean, it's very nice.
yeah. I mean, I don't even remember who that kid was.
I hope whoever it is enjoys it
Yeah.
and didn't do anything dumb with the cards, like I don't know, put it on their bike or something.
And then now that made me into like a not generous person, and I'm just holding on to this like Luffy card.
Maybe it'll be worth something.
Yeah, you know, like our buddy Woon was like, I can't believe none of our friends are giving me the card for free. And I'm just like, I'm gonna hold on to this card. I'm not gonna just give it away for free because of that one moment in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But speaking of like kind of like the Chinese manhwas, the main characters in those are terrible people.
Oh
I
yeah.
think they're like objectively kind of terrible. Like,
Narcissistic.
there's like no like I don't know what it is. It just seems like there's no concept of mercy.
I noticed that like there's not a lot of empathy that goes on.
Yeah.
Like
I feel like it's a reflection of like, you know, like China developed very quickly in the past, like, you know, 30 years or so and developed a lot of wealth. But I think it was in a very rapid pace, and a lot of the times people were had to be pretty ruthless about it. So I feel like that's reflected in the main characters. Like they will like, if there's someone that wronged them, there's no like mercy. It's like, there's no like
compassion.
you know, I forgive
Forgiveness.
you. It's just like, I will kill you now because you will do the same to me in the future. Like,
Wow.
that's like how they see things there. And that concerns me a little bit. But yeah, like I always thought that was pretty interesting.
That, you know, that is interesting because like on the flip side, in the Japan side of things, like because Japan lost in World War II, like I think the people tried to have a little bit more compassion, and it's like not all about winning, and also like like it's not all about competition, you know.
Right.
And so like there's a lot of like feel good anime and feel good mangas. There's a lot of like slow paced kind of like chill stuff that you know isn't really about like fighting or winning all the time.
Yeah.
And the kind of like relaxed vibe that you get in like different types of animes. Like for example, like Bocchi the Rock is just a bunch of girls like trying to, you know, make a music band together, and people enjoy that. But like that, I don't see that flying in China or Korea, for example. Like for example, like in Korea, it's about like winning, it's about competition, it's about like looking the best. And there's not a lot of like compassion for people who are kind of on the sidelines or not, who are not like the best, for example. And I see that like in kind of K-pop, for example, it's like in K-pop, like there's no room for like people who are mid, who are average. You know, like you have to be peak, like you have to be number one. But that's part of the reason why like K-pop is so much bigger than like J-pop nowadays, for example,
Sure.
right? And that's like also reflected in like lookism and all of this stuff where it's hyper competitive. Like there's no room for like weakness and like slowing down or anything like that. And I think that's kind of like how perhaps like, you know, China and Korea kind of see like their society and like, you know, how what they're
Like the only way to succeed in their societies, which is
yeah.
kind of sad because I feel like you lose something by not being able to embrace these like areas or hobbies that are maybe like not I don't know, revenue generated.
Exactly.
Or like
Exactly.
like for example, we're gonna go back to Frieren again. Sorry we keep going back to it. But like, you know, Frieren is the main character, but she has a very like whimsical way of living her life, right?
Yeah.
And then there's like in contrast, there's that other elf like Syrie,
Okay. Okay. I think I remember.
like the one that's like the master of all the wizards,
Right.
all the mages.
Yeah.
Like and then you know during the exam arc, she was like, oh, like the final test is I'm going to interview you, decide if you deserve to be like a grade one mage. And she's like, oh, like magic that's not used for like killing is a waste of time and energy. And then like, oh, like my like Flam, the great magician, was like a failure because her favorite like piece of magic was to create a field of flowers.
Right.
And that also is Frieren's favorite spell.
Yes.
Because it reminds her of her master, it reminds her of her friends who had like favorite flowers.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it wasn't Syrie that was able to defeat the demon lord. It was Frieren and her friends that had an appreciation for other things like going on fun adventures with each other, magic that isn't only meant for killing. Like they found joy in these other things. And then because of that, I think because of that joy, they're able to get to greater heights in the area that Syrie found like is the most important, which is killing.
Wow. You really thought about that. I think it's a more holistic perspective on like life in general, and the appreciation and gratitude is like is super important, because when you're just hyper focused on like winning or like, you know, gathering resources or accumulating wealth, for example, you kind of like lose touch with like, you know, what's truly important in life. And sometimes you might not be able to see like things around the corner or in front of your face that's actually truly important, because it's like, you know, what's the whole point of it all if you really and if the whole point of it is to be powerful, then like, you know, you kind of lose touch with like what's, you know, actually what's important, you know, enjoyment of life and satisfaction and finding meaning in like your activities or whatever you're doing in life. And that's oftentimes lost if that's the only thing that you focus on. I mean, we saw Squid Game recently. Like that's the kind of like the epitome of like, you know, competition, like life, and like it's a metaphor for capitalism, and you know, you have to be number one. But like, you know, the main character of Squid Game is trying to like not play that game, even though he's so good at it, and even though like in order to push his agenda and get what he wants, like he needs to win the game, but you know, he's trying to find a way to have that compassion, have that human side, and that's kind of like the important part of that Squid Game story as well. And that's also like what you just touched on, like Frieren.
I mean, this is the philosophy major in me kind of.
No, but I think you hit the nail on that, and that's why like Frieren's such an important story, because like that oftentimes those things are forgotten in like, especially in like America, for example. Like I think of like business leaders and stuff like that where they're just focused on like shareholder return.
Sure.
And they're not really like helping out the customer, or like for example, if the government is like doing things that are just helping, a specific subset of the elite population, as opposed to like thinking about like the lower class and stuff like that. Like I could see that like, being a problem. And that's kind of what like, different stories like One Piece and like Frieren like kind of touch on, is to embrace like the human side and like, appreciate like empathy and compassion, which is oftentimes like forgotten in terms of like our modern world, because like in order to survive, like we just need to go make money, and that's often like the kind of basis of how we judge people in terms of like their status and power, is just purely on money oftentimes. And when you're just focused on that, like you forget about a lot of things.
It's kind of funny because like after all these like Squid Game hype and all these things came out, like season 1, somehow the conclusion that like people drew from it was like, oh, I gotta make a show that's like competitive, just like Squid Games, without like the dieting necessarily, but like still like a lot of like high stakes, right? So there was like the Beast Games, and there was like, Devil's Plan. It's like, I mean, Physical 100. I mean, it's a little bit different because that's like more like peak like human performance kind of thing. But that was the conclusion people drew, was like, oh, we should make these shows because it's popular.
Yeah, I mean, it's super exciting and entertaining. Like the competition shows and the Korean competition shows are very good at like doing that specifically. I mean, it like K-pop has a lot of that too, where a lot of these groups are formed out of this like competition show, and it's very Squid Game like. But it's not that they end up with one person, like they end up with like, 5 or 8 or however many people that they want to make the group with.
Right.
And it gets like really intense, because like these young kids, like their life's goal is to become like K-pop idol. And like they really fight for like their life depends on it, and it's like a Squid Game like scenario. But instead of, doing these like child games, like they're singing and dancing and they're getting judged and stuff like that. So it's very intense. But it's become a global phenomena, and like a lot of Japanese young kids like want to be a part of K-pop. And then you see Cat's Eye, for example, which is like a group with like international people that are in it nowadays. So yeah, the competition thing is really popular, and that's why like the chef one of the Class Wars.
Culinary
Class Wars was amazing, so good. And then you showed me like Devil's Plan, which was really good too. I haven't finished season 2 yet, but I really like that one as well.
I will say though, there was this. I mean, I saw this clip on TikTok, and I think it's some old story, and maybe this will be like just the last one that we touch on, because I think we've been going on for a while.
Yeah.
But it was like this, right? There was a story, and there's 2 friends. One friend grows up and becomes a monk.
Okay.
And the other friend grows up and becomes like a government official at the beck and call of the king, but obviously like very wealthy, very powerful. And the 2 friends meet again, and the government official feels bad for his monk friend, and is like, hey, like if you don't mind like sucking up to the king for a little bit and catering to his needs,
Okay.
you don't have to just live on rice and beans, right? You don't have to live in like poverty. And then the monk friend says to the government official, like, hey, like if you don't mind living on rice and beans, you don't have to suck up to the king.
Whoa.
And so then I think in the video, the guy who told it was like, I think he was saying that there's a lot more potential power in living closer to the monk than the government official. And so when I think about maybe like how I want to live necessarily, is like, there's a lot of stuff that would be nice to have, like, a nice car, a nice house, blah, blah, blah. But like, how much of that is like really critical, and how much of that is like, like noise,
Right.
that, or like these like material things that shackle you to like a certain lifestyle.
Yeah. I mean, I love wearing my Prada and my Louis, and it's going to be very difficult to let that go. But if you're able to, I mean, that's more power to you.
Yeah, I mean, we're not. I mean, we're saying this, but we're also very comfortable. So it's like hard to be like, yeah, I'm gonna go to rice and beans.
But it makes you think. It makes you think though, because it's like, you know, what is truly important? Is it really about materialism, or is it something different?
I mean, Frieren spends all her money on shitty spells, so you need some money for that.